Yeah, I see the title, man. Let's get to it.
The beginning of the NBA season is a little over a month away, and with that being the case, I think it's time to start heating up the power rankings machines of all sorts. I know I spend most of my time on this channel sharing information about NBA history, but today I thought I'd take a different approach and give my rankings of the top 10 best players in the NBA today. And let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my rankings. Starting off at number 10, Damian Lillard. This pick will probably be seen as one of the most controversial picks in my top 10, as most people seem to have Dame between the 11 and 15 range. For me personally, that's just not high enough. Last season, Lillard put up 32 points per game, over 7 assists, and nearly 5 rebounds, while continuing to be one of the most lethal deep shooters in the entire league. Sure, he's not a great defensive player, but I don't understand
why. A little bit too high, you know, 'cause like, what was Portland's record? How many games did Dame play? I'm pretty sure he was injured most of the season, right? Let me know if I'm correct about that.
Why that criticism carries so much weight when people regularly rank others much higher who are also one-way players. Honestly, I see most people holding Dame back because he's simply been cursed with a mediocre franchise. I don't know if this trade with Miami is ever actually going down, but put him in a situation with an elite big man and fellow big game players, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Dame finally getting the respect that he's worth in a deep postseason run. Number 9, Kevin Durant. Just the fact that KD is even on this list after his terrible Achilles tear is remarkable in itself. I gotta be honest though, if Durant was on the floor more consistently, then he would be a candidate for a top 4 spot on my list. As the saying goes, the best ability is availability, and I'm a big believer in that concept, and I will continue to factor that into my rankings. Over the last 3 seasons, KD is averaging roughly 45 games played. At this point in his career, you can fully expect him to miss almost half of a season on a yearly basis. With that being said, he averaged 29, 7, and 5 while putting up some of the most incredible 50-40-90 splits that I've ever seen. In fact, his 56% shooting was easily the most lethal field goal percentage for a 50-40-90 season in NBA history. So again, even with a smaller portion of games played, you gotta put him in the top 10 based on his talent and production alone. Number 8, LeBron James. The guy is heading into his 21st season in the league and is still considered by most people as a top 10 player in the game. Nobody has ever been able to say that before, but LeBron continues to prove that he's some sort of ageless vampire. Last season, in 55 games played, James averaged about 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists on 50% shooting. Unlike many people, I don't think James is a horrible defender at this point in his career, or that he's a great defender either, but he simply has to pick his spots to give his best efforts, in a similar way to how an aging Kobe Bryant did it for the Lakers as well. Some people seem a little too anxious to remove LeBron from the top 10, but seriously, outside of the defensive end, which LeBron hasn't excelled at since his days in Miami, what is James still not elite at doing? He can still score at will, and efficiently for that matter. He can still rebound and facilitate with the best of them.
He can score at will, you know? At will, you know? Like, how can we say this guy's not an all-time great scorer, man? He's been scoring at will for 20 years. And we got people really willing to say that he's not an all-time great scorer. It's ridiculous, y'all. Like, I can't get
And when it comes to his IQ and decision making, he's just about as good as ever. Number 7, Anthony Davis. Similar to the previously mentioned Kevin Durant, I would love to rank Davis much higher if he was actually on the court more often, as he's averaging only 44 games played over the last 3 seasons. But if you look beyond the fact that he has the durability
and he even gets a LeBron's, I don't think he even got to LeBron's average games per season, but these are all top 10 players we're talking about, y'all. Playing half the season, averaging half the season for seasons at a time, seasons in a row.
A crispy
Ridiculous.
potato chip, then he's clearly one of the best
I
two-way
understand
players
what y'all
in the
say
entire game.
when y'all say
Last
they gotta be on
season,
the court,
Davis
man, I already
averaged
know.
about 26
That's
points,
crazy.
12.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks on 56% shooting. I do wish he'd just stop shooting three-pointers altogether, because the guy is clearly out of his range when he's that deep, and I'm screaming at my television every time he starts winding up from distance. In the post with his back to the basket, there's very few players I trust more than AD, but if only I could count on that for more than 70 games a year. Number 6, Jason Tatum. Now that we have AD, LeBron, and Durant out of the way, we can actually talk about the best players in the game that are expected to play the vast majority of the season. I hate to sound just like the meme, but Tatum is still only 25 years old, and I feel like we would be more appreciative of his progression so far if he shut up about his Kobe Bryant obsession and stopped forcing the comparison for us. Last year, he averaged 30 points, nearly 9
I didn't
rebounds,
even know
and
that's what he was going for.
5 assists.
you don't even play like Kobe, in my opinion. Like, yeah,
while
I
hitting
don't see it. I don't see
46% of
it.
his shots.
I don't see it.
If he wants to get in the top 5, the one thing
saying?
I would love to see him doing this offseason is relentlessly work on his three-point shooting. He's not a bad three-point shooter by any means, but in 2023, Tatum was second in the league in overall three-pointers attempted, while averaging a whopping 9.3 attempts per game. If he's going to be challenging players like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson for the most three-pointers attempted in a season, then ideally, I'd like to see him hitting better than 35% of his attempts. It does seem like the NBA is ready to have a coronation for this young man, but until his Celtics actually reach the mountaintop, whether it's fair or not, he'll probably continue to find himself in the second tier of elite superstars. Number 5, Joel Embiid. I feel like recency bias might be negatively affecting his ranking on many lists, maybe even including mine as well. Because although he was the MVP last
he was
season,
atrocious in the playoffs, boy. I was watching some of those games, son. That was bad.
the bitter
boy.
end to his season and the
bad.
comparisons to Nikola Jokic certainly are not doing him any favors. I can somewhat justify Embiid's 5th place ranking on my list by stating that he's clearly the worst postseason performer out of anyone in my top 5. Last season, he put up stellar averages of 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists on nearly 55% shooting. And that was the second straight season that he had led the league in scoring. But when you look at how he crashed hard in the postseason, well then it's no wonder why many people consider the reigning league MVP a borderline top 5 player. Because of this hard lesson that everyone learned, there's probably no way he's significantly climbing up the list until he redeems himself in the playoffs. Number 4, Luka Doncic. He's the youngest player in the top 10, yet he's already a statistical monster who's regularly accomplishing feats that's putting his name in the record books. And if his off-season conditioning is any indication, he may be getting even better in this upcoming season. Last year, Luka put up 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on nearly 50% shooting.
Yeah. Averaging 30 points. Averaging 30 points ain't that crazy no more. It's not. I just seen like 3-4 different guys in the top 10 averaging 30. So yeah. Bron damn near averaged 30. So yeah. Averaging 30 ain't that crazy no more, bro. It's not. Sheesh.
Shooting. With better fitness comes improved quickness, at least in theory, and hopefully this will be an attribute that leads to better defensive play from Luka, especially when it comes to him staying in front of his man with his lateral movement. Admittedly, things are not looking too promising from the offseason footage, but at least it's a start. As mostly an offensive threat, Luka continues to be dominant. But like Jason Tatum, he can improve.
Nah, I really look like he not moving with no type of urgency, nothing. But you never know. That might be at the end of the workout. You might be finished at this point, you know. You might barely got anything left in the tank.
Several areas, including his three-point shooting. But unlike several players on the list, Luka's got plenty of time to figure out his weaknesses. Number 3, Steph Curry. Despite reaching his mid-30s, he looks like he's never lost a step. as he nearly had another 50-40-90 season in 2023, averaging 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Although he might not have the most jaw-dropping stat line compared to these other greats, I will continue to preach that Curry's greatness goes beyond the stat sheet, as his limitless range forces the defense to give him constant attention, which simultaneously opens up the floor for his teammates to operate freely. In short, Steph has always been the main catalyst for the Warriors' offensive success. His all-time great shooting touch isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So as of now, I'm very comfortable having him in a top 3.
Yeah, Steph might be really might last a very long time, you know, just because the fact that he shoots the ball so well, you know, that's a skill that every team needs to shoot.
Spot on my list. Number 2, Giannis. The Greek Freak had an embarrassing first-round exit last season, but I fully expect him to remind people just how good he is, and I anticipate that we'll view that early round exit as a fluke when it's all said and done. Last year, he put up 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists on 55% shooting.
Ain't that
Obviously, his terrible free throw
averaging 30 is like averaging 25 nowadays. I feel like, well, averaging like 27 or something, I guess.
Shooting will continue to be a hindrance, but I would also like to see him do a better job of taking care of the basketball this upcoming season, as he averaged a career-high 3.9 turnovers in 2023. With that being said, Giannis continues to be the highest-ranked two-way player on my list, as almost no one can cover as much ground as he can defensively. Again, recency bias seems to play a factor, as it's basically eliminated Giannis from number 1 spot consideration. But with another regular season showing like last season and a solid showing in the postseason, I assume he'll earn his way right back into the conversation. Number 1, Austin Reeves. Just kidding, it's Nikola Jokic. Imagine being considered as a subpar defensive player, yet people almost universally agree that you're the best player in the league. That's the current perspective of the Joker, Nikola Jokic. The man is so efficient, so dominant, and so team-oriented that he's claimed his spot as the top dog as...
And that's crazy. He's not even worried about the... See, he's not even averaging 30. But I say, you know, extremely efficient. Sheesh. Yeah, that boy's tough, bro. He could be, he's effective in the game beyond scoring the basketball, bro. Beyond scoring the basketball, bro.
It's basically a one-way player. Unlike many players on this list, Jokic...
I got the NBA League Pass, too. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be tuning in. We're going to be on live and shit like that. Tuning into these games, you know.
Has no problem sustaining greatness in the postseason, where the competition is at its finest, as he averaged a near 30-point triple-double over the course of the 2023 playoffs. Over the last 6 seasons, his field goal percentage has improved year after year, with 2023 sitting at a dumbfounding 63.2%. If he improves that anymore this upcoming season, then he will be in efficient scoring territory that's basically uncharted by anyone that's not named Wilt Chamberlain. And it's pretty crazy just how often we've been using Wilt and the Joker in the same sentence in the last couple of years. Without question, Jokic is the top dog on my list. So what do you guys think? Who do you think is making a big jump?
If y'all enjoyed, let me know who y'all disagree with, or who y'all agree with, or who y'all would change out. Things of that nature, man. Turn on post notifications, click on the last reaction, share it with your peoples. Social media platforms. I'm out of here, man. Turn on post notifications. I think I already said that. It's all good, though.